Had to click the recording button.
So number 7, professional.
Yes. What do you got? What do you got for
number
me?
7, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh God, I forgot you watched this.
Mate, honestly,
How
I was
was it
pleasantly surprised by this. It is all right. It is honestly all right.
Shut up.
I mean it. I was expecting. You've got a little crumb, by the way. A little crummy crumb.
It's where I keep them. It's fine.
Okay. I know that.
Oh, there's not a crumb. Oh,
oh God. Oh, well, it is a horror podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was genuinely pleasantly surprised by this.
I'm really not happy with you.
I'm sorry, but I think, because I know your feelings on this.
Yeah.
Like, IPs going into the public domain, and there's going to be a scramble. We're seeing it already with Steamboat Willie.
Already.
And I think you're right. I think there's going to be a lot of trash coming out on the back of this. But I think this might be the exception to the rule. Like, I'm not saying it's great.
Carry on.
I'm not.
The floor's yours.
I'm not saying it is, like, fantastic. But I would say give it a watch, because I think you will be pleasantly surprised. The premise is obviously ridiculous. Yeah. So the premise of the film is, it starts with a little animation. Actually, it's a little like hand sketched cartoon.
Yep.
Almost like a I'm trying to think now. Like that Nizloppy music video, like a little pencil drawing.
Yep.
And it basically tells us the story of, you know, Christopher Robin, as a little boy in the woods, meets these sort of half animal human hybrids and becomes friends with them. And, you know, they have lots of fun and lots of adventures and then up until he goes off to college. Then when he goes off to college, they essentially mourn the loss of, and he's looking after them and feeding them as well. And then nobody else knows about it, and times are hard, and essentially they start to starve. And it gets to the point where they kill and eat Eeyore. And they're so traumatized by the fact that they've had to kill and eat one of their friends that they swear to basically just hate humanity forever and snap. And then it fast forward to adult Christopher Robin and his new wife to be, and he's taking her on a hike into the 100 Acre Wood to, you know, find his friends again and introduce her to these friends.
Yep.
And they get savagely murdered by Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. And then we get a group of, it's like a group of sexy teens, but it's an all-female group, and they go off and they're going to have a week of hot tub party in this house in the woods, and then they're subject, one by one, picked off by Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. The premise is absolutely ridiculous. I know that. I am aware of that. But it's well shot. There's some good gory kills in there. Not the most inventive of but take out the fact that it's Winnie the Pooh and just make it a couple of nutters in a bear and pig mask in the woods. And you've got a pretty solid slasher.
And you've got Your Next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But you've got a genuinely pretty solid slasher. It is where I did struggle with this. I was like, it's gonna go in like low down the list, and then I was like, actually, if I'm thinking about it, because it's something new and different. I was like, well, I think I've got to put it above Scream and Saw.
I was about to say, this is better than Scream and Saw.
I mean,
wow.
Because of, I mean, some of the acting is a bit ropey.
A bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, not terrible, but like, I mean, I'm a big fan of the old slasher films, like, the classics, Friday the 13th and stuff.
Yeah.
This is as good as, Friday 6 or 7, or you know what I mean? It's
the acting was not incredible in those old films.
If you like those old slashers, there's no reason why you won't enjoy this.
I get that.
As I say, it's a lot, but it's shot. I was surprised really that the production was a lot higher than I was anticipating. It looks pretty good. As I say, some of the acting is a bit wobbly, but it's shot well. The story's interesting enough. It works. It really works. I was genuinely pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
I'm not. It's number 7. It's not like I'm not sitting here saying it's my best film of 2023. But it was fun. I would definitely watch it again. I would not write it off as I was prepared to.
7's cool. Okay, I can. If it was 5 or higher, I would be. I'd be writing you a letter. I'd be writing you a formal letter.
You'd be looking for another host.
Yeah. Well, they change yearly, don't they? So.
It's not great, but it's really not bad. I think which, all right, it doesn't.
Can you recommend it?
I would recommend it 100%. Yeah,
okay.
I think Tom. I'm saying to you now, I think you should.
Okay.
Put your reservations on hold and give it a chance because it was a lot more. It was definitely entertaining. It was fun, and as far as the genre goes, as a slasher film, it's decent. It works.
Okay.
It's good. Yeah, I watched it last night. I had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, it's silly, but I'd say arguably not as silly as some other things. I mean, Thanksgiving is going to be talked about later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a part of me, I was like, maybe. I mean,
but Thanksgiving is real. This is animals, right? It
is, but like I say, that doesn't really factor beyond the fact that you're told that that's what it is. They're like weird human animal hybrids.
Yeah.
It could just be. There's nothing obvious that says that really. It could just be a big guy in a weird bear mask. You know what I mean? And a big.
Do they have a human hands?
Pig mask.
Well, they wear gloves. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've got claws and stuff, but they're weirdly humanoid creatures. It's a bit like Gang Beasts. Did you ever play Gang Beasts?
Yeah, that's basically the originator of Fall Guys, right?
Yeah,
the same sort of thing.
Physics kind of. They've got that sort of weird shape to them and stuff. So, I was genuinely pleasantly surprised by Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It was a fun watch. The kills were good. I mean, there's nothing super inventive as far as slasher kills go, but we get somebody that's pinned to a tree with a thing, and a lot of it feels very much like it could be a Friday movie. You know what I mean? Running around in the woods and getting chopped up. It just happens that it's Winnie the Pooh doing the chopping up.
It's and Piglet, right?
And Piglet, yeah. So there's the two of them together. Now we're told that Eeyore is killed and eaten, but also there's supposed to be Owl and Roo and the other ones, but they're not mentioned. It's just, I guess, assumed that it's Winnie and Piglet were the last two standing strong enough to kill and eat the rest of them before.
And we're getting a sequel, I believe.
I believe so, and I'll definitely be watching.
I know you will. Does it warrant a sequel, the story-wise? Can you see a sequel coming, or does it feel tacked on?
I mean, spoiler: Winnie is not taken down. It is more of a case of they escape from the killer as opposed to put him down for good.
Okay.
I'm not going to say who they are, but yeah. It was good. I enjoyed it a lot, and I was definitely with you 100%. I thought that's why it was the last movie I watched. It was why I left it till last, because I thought I'm gonna hate it. It's gonna be a chore.
You watched it last night?
I watched it last night.
Well, that's probably what. It's so fresh in your brain. That's probably why it's that position.
Oh no! I mean, I genuinely did enjoy it. I think like I say, it wasn't the low budget tat I was expecting.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to look really dicey and ropey, but it doesn't. It's got a bit of weight behind it in terms of they must have had a little bit of a budget, or they've used the budget well.
I think the budget was very minimal.
I mean, it's even more kudos to it then, really, because it looks as good, if not better, than some other like modern higher budget slasher films.
Yep.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Full review will be coming soon.
It will. Okay. You got that on your own channel. Yeah, that's fine. Go sign up to Aidan's new podcast. He'll be reviewing
Winnie the Pooh horror pod.
We'll do it. It's fine. I feel like it'll be fun. We'll do it. All right. That's your number 7. For me, it is number 7 is Talk to Me.
Oh, okay.
Did you catch Talk to Me?
I didn't, but
okay.
I think we talked about it, didn't we? And yeah, well, I mean, take it away. I know what you're.
Talk to Me is a very basic premise. Basically, a group of friends, teens, late teens, find a way that they can conjure spirits / talk to spirits, and they end up, but the way they do it, which I'll get onto in a minute, they end up becoming sort of addicted to it and end up finding more of a thrill doing it rather than being scared, which they start off being, I can see a spirit. How the hell is this working? And it ends up being a sort of party trick that they all, they hang out, get some drinks, and just start talking to spirits. And it's fun.
This is the one with the hand thing, isn't it?
There we are. The hand. The hand is the MacGuffin of this. There's just a hand. The hand is the thing that makes you grab it. I can't remember there's like a count to say hand 3 times or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was that unleashes the spirits in front of you. But one of them goes too far and ends up being trapped in the spirit world of evil spirits. And it's the other kid's job to try and get him out. Now, I don't know why. It feels like a Mandela effect, but I feel like this has been done before. We have to get someone out of the spirit world. Someone's trapped in the evil spirit world, and we have to get it out.
Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Is the first one.
There we go.
That's the entire premise of Poltergeist.
But I just feel like it's really been done before many times. And I think that's why it didn't really click with me as much. Now, there's another film later on in my list that has a similar vibe to that, where this story's been done before. But there's an extra bit of spice. That's an inkling to what it is. But spice to it that bumped it up the list because this part hadn't been done before. This story had, but this extra layer to the story hadn't really been done before. I hadn't seen this before. So, okay, I thought fresh, that can go on the list. This, though, yeah, it didn't really do much for me. And the MacGuffin of the hand just felt like shoehorned in. Right. Here's a way we can talk to spirits. It's this creepy hand. And the way they describe where the hand came from felt very loose. I think it was, I think I wrote it down, where the origins of this hand comes from.
So is it a real hand, like a mummified hand? Right.
The hand is, one of the explanation, according to the stories in the film, it's a cursed object. The hand belonged to a Satanist or medium.
Right.
It feels a bit lazy. It feels a bit someone that had spiritual powers died, and the powers are still in the hand, and you can communicate with the dead. So yeah, this got a lot of praise. This film, this got a lot of praise, and it's not a bad film. I can see how it could be scary to some. Again, it takes a lot for me to be scared or at the edge of my seat. Desensitized, yeah.
But that's something I was going to say is, as you know, a long time horror fan, you've probably, we've probably seen a lot of these stories done again and again and again. So for a new audience, like a younger audience coming in and watching films, it's going to be like, wow, this is great. It's mind-blowing, because they won't have seen it done before. So I always feel like, you watch things and you think, why is everybody raving about this? Because it's just doing the same thing as X, Y, Z, but
tracing the same steps.
You've got to try and think, well, hang on a minute, they might. It's a new film for a new audience, so they won't necessarily have seen it.
That's it. It's good for a younger audience, I think, this film. I think this is great for a younger audience to try and get into horror, or are into horror but want to check out the new films. I think they'd really enjoy this. Just didn't hit it for me. I really enjoyed the performances. The lead girl was great. It's an Australian film. Didn't know that. Arwen's in it.
Arwen.
Oh wait, Arwen. Is it Lord of the Rings, obviously.
Liv Tyler.
No, is it Arwen or Erwin? Erwin, sorry.
Erwin. Miranda Otto.
Yes, she's in it. That was just one of my notes. Like,
Okay.
Erwin.
I do that all the time.
There's tell you what, one of my favourite scenes actually is the intro. There's a house party, and as the camera's following through this character called Cole, who we come back to later on in the film. He's like that sort of character that our lead characters go back to find out the exposition of the hand, what's happening. You know, he's the one they try and search out. What's happening? Tell us. And he tells us, this happened. This is what you need to do to stop the hand. So the intro of the film is his sort of story, where there's a house party. You're following him through. He's trying to find his brother, who's been dealing with this hand, talking to spirits, and it's fucked him up. He finds him in this house party, tries to get him out. The camera pans to Cole in the kitchen, I think talking to someone else at the house party, and then his brother just appears off camera and just starts stabbing him just instantly. Right. It's brutal. It's a real, he's not all there. He's been messing around with the spirit world. He's not himself. But it's a nice intro, a nice impactful intro. Other than that, not much really hooked me. There's not much to it that really hooked me in the film. I would recommend it though. I think it's a perfectly good horror film.
Okay.
Just didn't do much for me. I can't really say too much else about it. It's very simple. It's very simple. It's no infinity pool. It's very straightforward. Didn't really like the design of the hand. Have you seen what the hand looks like? The hand that they use to communicate with the spirit world?
I think I'm gonna look it up again because I can't quite bring it to my hand, but I think I have seen it. Okay. It looks a little bit like cast that's been scribbled all over, like a broken. It's a bit GCSE art project, isn't it?
It is. It that's the thing. I mean, in the film, it's lit differently. It's a little bit more shading.
I mean, I'm looking at some
you can buy the replica,
which is what I'm looking at, and lit on a white background. Like this is this is the thing. It doesn't look good at all. It's not where it's like you say, with the lighting in the movie and stuff, it looks a little bit better, but it's
I think what put me off was when you're first introduced to the hand with your main characters. They're scared of it. They're like, what the fuck is going on? Our lead character, she tries it for the first time, says Candyman 3 times and connects to the spirit world, and there's a spirit right in front of her, and she's like, what the fuck? But when they get into the thrill of it and how it's just a part of their fun party in life, it kind of takes you out of the horror, I find, because
I mean, I suppose as it would, like
this hand is meant to be some sort of spiritual pathway into talking to the evil dead spirits, and now you're just, hey,
like you said,
who's got the hand?
While so and so runs out for some more beer, let's have a go with a hand, like they're playing Cards Against Humanity or
exactly
beer pong, or it does. Like I say, if the characters aren't treating it as being a horrific thing, then why should the audience?
Maybe it could be something like you chuck it away and it comes back like Thing from the Addams Family. It's always there, or it is sentient. Like Thing from the Addams Family. That kind of took me out of it.
Talking about the comparison between the replica that you can buy and how it looks in the film. I mean, even looking at screenshots from the film, it doesn't look that much like. I mean, it's supposed to be an embalmed hand, but it looks like it's papier-mâché or clay or
big time.
It doesn't look like a genuine real human severed hand. So
Also, apparently there is a sequel to this coming, which I'm generally not sure how.
Right.
Well, I'm sure they'll find a way because it's Blumhouse, and Blumhouse and horror, they will do anything. They will throw out anything. I mean, with Night Swim just came out, or is coming out, about a killer pool. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that might be one for the tombola. Like,
Oh, my bad. I thought Talk to Me was Blumhouse. It's A24. My mistake. Is it Blumhouse and A24? Hold up. It's distribute. No, it is A24. Okay, I thought it was Blumhouse. My mistake. But even so, became A24's highest grossing horror film and second highest grossing horror film overall. Wait, what? That doesn't make sense. Becoming American distributor A24's highest grossing horror film and second highest grossing horror film overall. How does it become the first and second highest grossing horror film?
no, does it mean it's their highest, but it's the second highest grossing in the wider sphere of film releases? I mean, does that mean in 2023?
Possibly. This article I'm looking at isn't elaborating.
So it's their highest grossing film ever, but out of all the releases of 2023, it was, or whatever category cut-off point is, it's the second highest grossing. I mean, it's not going to be the highest grossing of all time.
No, a 4.5 million budget made 92 million. That is quite a high grossing horror film. So yeah, Talk to Me. I don't think I would watch it again, but I would recommend it.
Okay.
Perfectly acceptable horror film. It's just something about I'm going to contradict myself here. Something about, I've talked about this before, paranormal, demonic spirits, talking to demons doesn't really work for me unless it's done really well and done right, which it eventually will be, and it is done right. Someone has the Crazy Frog ringtone in this film as well. I had to note that down.
What? Is it?
Is
it? When's it set?
Modern
is
day.
it set? It's set in the modern day, and somebody. I mean, they need to be on some sort of watch list. When was the Crazy Frog relevant?
2001.
Yeah, like
maybe
for about 5 minutes in 2001.
Those adverts. Spend £5 on a Crazy Frog ringtone.
Oh Christ, yeah. That is terrifying. That's more scarier than talking to demons or anything else. That somebody in 2023 had a Crazy Frog ringtone.
Yeah. So yeah, that is that's Talk to Me. Yeah. I feel like we will do it. That might be an episode in the future, maybe not near future, but yeah.
Sure.
It's okay. The horror was there to begin with, and then dwindled from the middle onwards. I think it's that one scene where they're having a house party, and it just becomes fun for them.
Yeah.
Granted, the house party ends in someone is now trapped in the spirit world because they've gone too far with it. But you were having fun with it now. It's fun. It's just a gag. So Talk to Me. Number 7. Number 6 for you.
Number 6. Thanksgiving is number 6.
Really?
My number 6. Yeah. I mean, I know you're not going to agree with me on some of the ones, but
well, that's the point of it.
But yeah, Thanksgiving. Like I said, it's it could shift. It could shift. And as I was saying with Winnie the Pooh, I was like, there's a little bit of me going, maybe I'd put it above Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving ultimately won out the highest spot because the kills were a little bit more inventive.
Yes, very much so.
I mean, I think I enjoyed them on an equal level. I think I definitely enjoyed watching Thanksgiving. It was fun. It was good. If Winnie the Pooh is a throwback to sort of 80s slashers, then this was more of a throwback to those early 2000s ones, which we've talked about before. And we love. Yeah, so this, I mentally flipped a coin, and this is where Thanksgiving landed. So as you've just seen the link there, we did the episode on this, and not that long ago as well, with it being
Nope.
the Thanksgiving release. So yeah, we've got a killer running around a Massachusetts town. Did we decide?
Yeah. It's not Boston, but it's in.
It's not
Massachusetts.
Boston.
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Boston adjacent. And yeah, he's sort of setting up his own macabre Thanksgiving dinner where with various guests it transpires have slighted him previously. I think it's without giving full spoilers. It's fair to say, and it's your classic early 2000s Scream, Valentine, that sort of
urban legend. I know what you did
vibe,
last summer.
Legend.
Yeah,
we get a lot of stuff in the daytime, and it is like people are being picked off one by one. There's a big sort of modern injection of social media playing a part of it, and
who done it,
and it's a little bit of a who done it, and the big draw for us, well, you in particular, but for us for this one was that it was one of the Grindhouse trailers.
Yes, it was
in the Robert Rodriguez, not Tarantino, is it? Who was the other one, or is it Tarantino?
Who did Grindhouse? It was Rodriguez and Tarantino.
It was Rodriguez and Tarantino.
Yeah, Rodriguez
in their double bill. It was one of the little fake trailers in between that have been, along with Machete and Hobo with a Shotgun and things, have been expanded into a full film. So yeah, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. There's some fun, inventive kills in there. There's some kind of slapsticky moments. It was a good fun watch.
It is a good fun romp. It really is a good fun, and I think it exceeded expectations because of Eli Roth's reputation as of late. He sort of went away from his big budget horror movies. Probably after Green Inferno was a big budget, but after that he went away from extreme horror.
Yeah. And
I guess this is his step back into it. But I still think this is his best horror film.
Mm-hmm.
This is better than Hostel. I like Hostel. This is better than Cabin Fever. This is better than Green Inferno. I think it's his best well-produced film.
Yeah.
The acting is actually good. I was very surprised to actually like some of the teens, our group of teens. And
they were a lot more well-rounded and
having your killer,
usual counterparts,
called John Carver, based on a real person. That kind of worked. Carver. I felt that kind of worked. Yeah, that's cool. That's fair. And again, we have talked about it. Go check out our review. This is good. We've already done the work. Just go there. Just go have a look at it. And also, what I realised with these lists is that because you're going first, you're going through these films, and then they're a bit higher on my list, which means I don't have to talk about them as much. You've already done the work. Yes. Speaking of which, number 6 for me is Scream 6.
There we go.
I'm a bigger fan of the Scream series than yourself. Yeah. Same with the Saw series. So Scream 6 was higher for me. It was a disappointment, but I still kind of enjoyed it. And even before the news of Scream 7, with everyone exiting, I wanted this to be the end because it felt like we've jumped the shark now. We're done. Other sort of franchise where your killer is not a whodunit, keep going, and you can go down the B-movie schlocky routes like most of them do. But this, we're done. For the most part, this is a series with good films. 3 is very dwindling, but opinionated, but neither here nor there. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I love Scream. Scream 1 is one of my favourite horror films of all time. It's incredible. 2, I'm a big sucker for. 3, 4, 5, peaks and valleys. But yeah, Scream 6, let it end there. We'll cap it off there. And I agree to everything you said. So that's it for number 6. Again, check out our review. That was nearly a year ago. I think it came out end of January, February last year. So yeah, that was number 6. We're into top 5 now.
We are into top 5 now.
Top 5. What have you got for number 5?
I've got The Pope's Exorcist.
I forgot about this film.
Better than Exorcist Believer, first of all, I just want to say.
Better than Scream and Saw.
Yeah, but it is.
Kurt Russell riding around on a little Vespa.
Sorry,
not Kurt Russell. Russell Crowe.
It was good. It was good fun. It was very good fun. It was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Obviously, very silly. It's a silly performance.
Yep.
Russell Crowe is clearly having an absolute whale of a time, hamming it up as Father Gabriel.
Is he in his Nick Cage era?
I think he might be. He might be trying. He's just trying a few things out. You know what I mean? And like I say, comparable to Exorcist Believer, it's a better possession film. It's a more entertaining possession film. It is very silly. It's not straight horror. It's more of, like an action fantasy movie almost. But yeah, I can really only say that I just enjoyed it immensely while I was watching. A lot of it was to do with Russell Crowe
riding his Vespa in his suit. I just can't. I can't get that image out of my head when I think about that film.
Honestly, though, it was. I like I say, I had fun with this movie. It gave me a chuckle. It was entertaining. Yeah,
And isn't Finchy the voice of the demon?
Yes, I think he might be. Actually.
I believe Finchy, bloody good demon, bloody good demon. I believe he is.
Actor. He is. Ralph Ineson is the voice. I mean, he's firmly like stepping up as like a horror actor, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in.
I mean, he's going to crop up again on my list.
I mean, he's the voice of Dacia as well. I mean,
yeah,
he's
and a bloody good rep.
Bloody good rep. Bloody good rep.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's probably. I'd probably even go as far as to say that Ralph Ineson is rapidly becoming not one of my favourite actors and one of my favourite horror actors. He's
fair.
I'm genuinely enjoying a lot of what he's doing at the minute.
He does love his folk films and horror films,
yeah,
and you mix them together. He's golden.
Yeah. So obviously he was the father character in the Witch.
Yes.
And he was brilliant in that. And yeah. Our beloved Finchy from the UK version of The Office. But yeah, no, I Pope's Exorcist, it's just a good, fun popcorn romp with Russell Crowe being ridiculous, playing in the Vatican's like top exorcist, basically. He's almost like the Vatican's James Bond sort of figure. He's a bit sassy with it. Like everybody, there's almost like a bit of a Dirty Harry scene where it's like, give in your badge and your gun, kind of like you're off the case, and he's like, no, I'll do what I want. He goes rogue, and it's very silly. He's got a young protege, sort of exorcist priest with him, and they tackle this demon that he's faced previously, and it's not breaking any new ground story wise, but
I feel like you'd like to do this film as an episode.
It was fun.
I think it'd be fun.
I'd definitely like to watch it again. I'd definitely like to watch it again.
Yeah, I would watch it.
Yeah, it was again, and it was one of those that was, I was expecting it to be absolutely trash, and when I watched it, I thought, actually, I've been entertained by this a lot more than I was expecting. Yeah. So that's my number 5.
I could have, before you even watched this, I think this coming out, I would have been like, this is an Aidan film. He's gonna love this. I could just tell.
I mean, I think as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, oh mate, that looks great.
Yeah, I think you were.
And and it didn't disappoint.
Okay, my number 5. I tell you what, as we're getting closer, there's a couple of films that haven't been mentioned yet, and I feel like we're gonna have the same, maybe same top 3 or same top 4.
I think
in different orders.
So. I don't think we're not gonna have the same top 4, but same top 3.
Yeah,
definitely.
So number 5 for me was It Lives Inside.
Okay.
Now, I had heard about this from a Bloody Disgusting article a while back. And again, when I mentioned, Bloody Disgusting article a while back, and it had been in my mind for a while. And when I mentioned earlier about how, what film was it that hadn't really done anything new, but put a twist on it? What film did I can't remember what film I was talking about when I said that. I said it about an hour ago into this recording. Right. This film doesn't really do anything new. It's about basically a demon stalking our main character, and the main character has to find a way to capture or banish this demon. Okay. So that's been done before. Okay. It's Megan. I think it was Megan I was talking about. It's been done before.
Oh yeah.
But the thing that intrigued me with this, what was different, is that it's based around Indian mythology and folklore.
Okay.
And I don't
Which is
really
definitely
feel like
something hasn't been explored.
Yeah, and
certainly not in Western cinema.
No.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of Indian movies that are.
Oh God, yeah, probably
that explore it, but yeah, it's not something that comes up in Western.
And for the most part, about
cinema.
95% of the cast are Indian, which was really cool to see as well. So it's simply, like I said, it's a very simple premise. Our main girl, Sam, is basically, from the get-go, she's basically rejecting her Indian culture. Her mum speaks, I believe it would be Hindi, Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. I'm not very familiar with any different languages in the Indian culture. I believe it's Hindi, whereas the young girl, Sam, speaks English. She's an American. The dad and the mum speak Hindi, but she still speaks Indian. So she's basically rejecting her culture. She's a young teen living in America. However, when one of her best friends is acting weird at school, her old best friends are acting weird at school, it's because a demonic spirit has latched onto her.
Okay.
But to keep it at bay, you have to keep it enclosed. You have to trap it in something. So she's carrying around this jar, but it's still sort of keeping control of her.
I've seen a bunch of images of her carrying a mason jar around.
It has to live inside. Otherwise, if it's out, it's just going to completely torture you and make you go. It's going to make you lose your fucking mind, and you can only see it in the dark. All you can see are these little white dots in the dark, and it's just it's growling at you. So they're having a kerfuffle back and forth. Why are you acting so weird? What's going on? By the kerfuffle, what happens? The jar drops, smashes. The demon is out. Mm-hmm. The demon basically takes the best friend, and this is where it got a bit confusing because visually this film is actually really beautiful. There are some really nice shots. The point where this best friend goes missing now the demon is out, there's a close-up shot of her, what looks like she's buried alive, and the only light that's coming through is this red light. So you think, is she now in a demon world? Oh no, that was it. It was Talk to Me. I was talking about Talk to Me, how it's been done before. We have to get someone out of the demon world. So I thought, we're going down this road again. Okay, the demon has kidnapped her best friend but you end up finding it's not a demon world. It's just a very well lit for shooting. It's like the basement of this derelict house. Spoiler, whatever. But while this friend is now reported missing, this demon is now latched onto our main character. And she has to, throughout the film, start to learn to embrace her culture. And with the help of her mum, who there's a lot of back and forth, they don't get on. They embrace in the end to help to try and capture this demon and make it live inside a new jar. She has to capture it, basically. But like I said, it's something that's been done before. A demon kind of on your shoulder, always behind you, always there. You can't get rid of it. You've got to find a way to get rid of it. But it is the Indian heritage. I just feel like if that wasn't there, this was American, Western, fully Western. This film wouldn't. I don't think it'd be on my list. I think it would be really dull. I think it'd be boring. So yeah, I feel like that's. I don't want to use. I'm kind of using that as like a way to bump it up the list.
No,
but I don't think I've seen that before.
I understand what you're saying. That it's doing something new, and again, I think it was kind of the same sort of thing with the Winnie the Pooh one. It's a slasher film of a type that you've seen before, but because it's got this such ridiculous premise that the killer is a beloved children's character. It's like,
Yeah.
it has that extra. It's something different, and we say it a lot that it's increasingly difficult to try and find a different take on something.
Big time.
In everything, not just horror movies, in movies generally, games, all sorts of media. You know, we everybody says it. You know, everything's been done before. There are no new ideas. So sometimes it only takes a little thing, and you know, I know nothing about Indian mythology, so I'd be interested to watch this because it's something new as far as Western moviegoers, you know, on for the large part, you know, without an Indian heritage, won't know it, you know, won't know anything about it. So it's a little, like I say, the story might not necessarily be anything groundbreaking or new, but it's got a little inflection there, which means it's got some extra interest. So, I don't think there's any issue with that. I think that's a good thing.
That's the demon. I've just sent it to you. It's called the Pizak.
Oh, okay.
Pizak, and it's you don't actually see it until the end. You only see it you only see it in the shadows.
Pictures of it.
You literally only see it in the shadows, and it's white eyes. And this, if I show you this is behind the scenes. Really cool how they made it, the special effects of it.
See, it looks a lot different in that. But
the one not issue, but the one thing that did come to my mind because I'm a big fan.
It's a little bit like Pumpkinhead.
I'll tell you what it looks like. I'll tell you exactly what it looks like. It looks like the monster from Feast. If you've ever seen. I'm a big fan of Feast. Feast. I think I've talked about Feast before. Feast is good fun. Good, gory, schlocky fun.
Oh yeah, it does. It does look. I'm looking at it now.
You're looking at the Feast, yeah. the big teeth. The front, yeah.
It's like, I mean, arguably, I'd say the creature from Feast looks a little bit more like Venom, but
yeah, Venom as well, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, there's definitely a sort of same parentage there, isn't it? I tell you what, what it reminds me of is, have you played the the Gears of War games?
I played one. I played number one.
It looks like there's the section with the blind creature. I think it's called like the mother or matriarch or something like that, and it smashes through walls. You've got to try and get it to smash through several doors so you can get outside and then hit it with a big space laser.
He's a big boy. Mm-hmm. He's a big boy. Yeah, I see. Yeah, the spikes and
with the sort of the spikes and the sort of external exoskeleton musculature sort of stuff going on. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
so I'm guessing this is like a real. Like you say, it's from Indian mythology.
I believe it is. They do talk about something called the one time of the year the Puja, Puja, that they Puja, Hinduism. Here we go. Is a worship tutorial performed by Hindus, Buddhists, and Jains to offer devotional homage and prayer to one or more deities to host and honor again, celebrate an event. Let me look at it.
The Pishash is an infamous figure in Hinduism and Buddhism, a demonic entity that preys on negative energy. Okay, so how it lives inside brings Hindu mythology to horror. So it is, yeah. It's well, that's great. You know, there's a whole history of the world and various cultures and their mythologies and things like that. We should be looking a little bit beyond our Western European centric
not
focus.
Folklore. Yeah. The Puja, here we go, becomes a huge point of the focus for Sam and her family. For Sam's mother, Purna, and the Durga Puja is a big deal for the family, representing not only their faith but their Indian culture. Sam participates begrudgingly. At the Puja, people pray to Durga for safety and well-being. Characters adorn themselves in henna tattoos before a critical showdown. Henna tattoos can be used as some sort of talisman against evil, demonic spirits. So it's sort of like a protection sort of ceremony, I guess. Apologies to anyone who listening who knows more about this. I am very out of the loop of any of this, but I found it fascinating. I found it interesting, and that's why it's there, because in theory, I learned something. I kind of didn't because I can't remember really or talk about it. But I was intrigued. It was something different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's number 5.
Good.
It lives inside. I would recommend it. It's not terrifying. It's got some scary jumps. It's got some good jump scares. I'll give it that. It's got some great effects. It's got great sound design. That was one thing we noted down. The sound design is fantastic. I would say the first half is better than the second. Yeah, it lives inside. Number 5. All right, top 4. Now, there's 3 films here that I know you haven't mentioned. That I know are in my top 4. So go for it.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Well, my number 4 is it's a film I've mentioned recently, but it's not one we've done previously in the pod. It is Lord of Misrule.
Yes. Now, when you put a Twitter post of that up last night, I was like, I recognise this. He's brought this up. Yes.
I have brought it up. It was. It's definitely a me film. It's definitely a me film because it is. As a lot of people have. I mean, I'm just looking at the Guardian review now, and it didn't review well. And it's not going to be for everyone, but it is definitely for me. So this is why. And I really watched it last night. This was my double bill.
Yeah.
With Winnie the
Pooh.
And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. So our boy Finch is back, Mr. Ralph Ineson.
Bloody good lord. Bloody good lord.
Bloody good lord. And yeah, it's a very folk horror, British countryside, weird things in the woods. Creepy locals doing old magic type. It's right up my street. I can't stress it enough.
I mean, the poster alone.
I mean, yeah, it's great. So the premise is it's the main characters are a couple, Tuppence Middleton and Matt Stokoe, who play the Hollands.
Sorry, did you say Tuppence Middleton?
Tuppence Middleton.
My God, that's the most British name ever.
The most. Yeah, exactly. She might as well be called Mary Poppins. It's a very posh name, isn't it?
I can't get over that.
I can't think what else I've seen her in, actually. I think maybe, is she in Downton Abbey?
Of course she was.
Yeah, she was in Downton Abbey. Anything else big that she was in?
Tuppence Middleton. Incredible. Incredible.
Fisherman's Friends thing. I don't know. Anyway, she was very good. So her and Mr. Matt Stokoe, apologies if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. It's Stokoe.
Yep.
Stokoe. They play the Hollands. So she is vicar, and he's her husband. They've got a young daughter whose name I forget, which is embarrassing because she's kind of central to the plot.
Yep. Okay.
But it turns out that they've moved to this local village, this small village. I think it's meant to be Cornwall. I think it's supposed to be Cornish village. Yep. And I think it's hinted at that they've been there for not quite, just under a year. I think it's about 10 months or so.
Yep.
There is a harvest festival, which is very, Wicker Man-esque.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of masks and ritual, and, they're driving the demon out of the village, and there's a big procession and bonfires. Everybody's a bit drunk. They've all had a few beers, and it's all jolly good, keeping our village traditions alive.
Yep.
During the ceremony, the little girl goes missing, and then essentially they're trying to find her, which is, there is hints and intimations that there is some sort of ulterior thing going on in the village, and that some people might be more connected to it than others, it's not quite what it seems. So the obvious comparisons to the Wicker Man are there. Child goes missing. Yeah. People are investigating it. I think it's kind of an unfair. I can totally see why it is, because it's very sort of folk horror, and it's about people looking for a missing child. So it's got the Wicker Man written all over it. But I think it's kind of a lazy and unfair comparison, to be quite honest, because it takes I don't really want to give too much of it away, but
no, because we want to do an episode on it. Yeah.
Well, I want to do an episode on it, but it's one of those that if you know everything that's going on,
Oh, okay. Okay.
it does go down a more supernatural route than The Wicker Man is like not there's no
Really?
supernatural element to that film at all, really. This does go down a more darker path and supernatural route, and maybe there's some inclination that perhaps this driving the devil out of the village ritual is genuine, and the little child has been offered as a sacrifice and all this sort of stuff.
Interesting.
But it's absolutely Ralph Ineson plays. Again, I think the trailer presents it that he's in sort of a Christopher Lee role as like the leader of the cult.
That's definitely what I got from it. Yeah,
and he sort of is and he isn't. He's kind of a victim of circumstance, and not in it all that much, really.
Really.
Yeah, I mean he's in it enough, and he does play a lead. But again, I think that direct comparison to like Lord Summerisle and his character is a little bit of a lazy comparison. It's not actually as clear cut as that. There's lots of like rural folklore imagery, like all the trees have some little poppet and fetish hanging off it. There's lots of masks on the wall and green men imagery and ritual stuff happening. So yeah, I really liked it, but I can,
Of course you would.
100%, it's my sort of thing. It's exactly
it's your list as well, so
yeah.
no, that's what matters.
So yeah, no, and if so basically, I would recommend it, especially if you like The Wicker Man, if you like Blood on Satan's Claw, those sorts of the ritual, anything that's sort of like folklore, British European folklore, witchcraft.
Yeah.
Then you'll get something out of it, and it does have a little bit more of a supernatural element as well, and arguably a little of a bleak ending, not as quite as bleak as The Wicker Man, but again, to make that comparison, but it doesn't all end all happy and smiley, which I always like in a film as well. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I do like it when a horror film does it. We'll get to it. Doesn't end happy. We'll get to it because it sticks with you, and that's what I've always said about Martyrs. It's not a happy film. Horror for the most part shouldn't be happy. It needs to be impactful because you will never forget it. Mm-hmm. It's horror.
I mean, this is why I don't like sequels so much, because arguably everybody should die at the end of a horror film. Like, everybody should be dead and nobody should escape. Because they're the ones I like the most, so nothing should have a sequel.
Cool. Okay, so that's your number 4. I know exactly what is. I think I know what your 3, 2, and 1 is.
I think you probably can.
If I do get it, I'm happy. Because you've got one higher than me. So my number 4 is Cobweb.
Yes. Okay.
Which I'm going to assume is 3.
That is my number 3. Yeah,
Okay.
just to jump ahead there.
Well, I'll tell you what. My number 3 is Thanksgiving. So we could both talk about Cobweb. Thanksgiving is out of the way. So
It's done.
Cobweb, I heard about it. It didn't really get much promotion, much marketing, I don't think, over here. But holy hell, that was a sleeper hit in my opinion.
I loved it.
I
genuinely
really loved
thought it was great.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And once again, I feel like it's a Mandela effect. It's a There's Something in the Walls film. This has been number 4 with The Boy. I guess to a looser extent, The People Under the Stairs. They're kind of in the walls.
Yeah,
but there's something in the walls knocking. But this does it really well. It's a very simple premise.
It does do it really well. I mean, I'd go a little bit further because I was sort of thinking it was possibly a haunted house, like a ghost thing, poltergeisty type thing.
Okay.
Until it got. I mean, I fairly quickly realised that actually there is somebody in the walls. But yeah, I think it plays with a couple of different genres at different points.
The thing as well, did you clock? There felt like a lot of references to Halloween in this film. It's set in
As in-
Holdenfield.
Oh, is it really?
Right. Where am I? Where am I now? It's set in Holdenfield. There is a similar bit where the kid with a pumpkin, his pumpkin gets destroyed.
Mashed.
Like
Yeah.
Mashed in Halloween.
Yeah.
I can't remember what else I wrote. This is one I definitely want to do a proper revisit on, because I would happily watch this again. The kids are dicks. Again, we've got another kids are dicks.
I mean, I was waiting to get to this to say this
kids
when you
are
mentioned
absolute dicks.
like psychopath kids.
Yeah,
Absolute psychopath kids. So there's a point where the little boy in the film is getting bullied, isn't he? And he gets revenge on his bully by pushing him down the stairs, which is quite a horrific thing to do. It could have easily killed him.
It could have broken his neck
and whatever.
yeah.
But there's an argument that it's kids being kids, and he was ultimately standing up for himself and stuff. But then there is like a revenge bit later on where this young kid with a broken leg and his cousin and his mates who are like 17. They're driving, so they must be at least 17.
They're ready to massacre this house.
They mask up and turn up and do a home invasion with baseball bats.
They're ready to. They're not ready to just injure. They're ready to maim and
kill him.
Yeah,
kill him. Yeah,
yeah,
and potentially his family.
Oh yeah,
because they don't know who's in the house with him. So as far as they're concerned, they're masked up and breaking and entering in a home invading, and will beat a small child to death. It is how it's presented.
Yeah.
Which also made me think of what's the one about the blind man?
Don't breathe.
Don't Breathe,
yeah.
which made me think about it. He was playing with a couple of different genres, so arguably it's only a scene, but we get a little bit of that sort of home invasion, table turning stuff happening.
Yeah, it's a very simple premise as well, the film, because the young boy starts to hear a knocking on his bedroom wall, starts to get freaked out by it, then starts to ease into it about, hello, is someone there? And it's a young girl's voice. Starts to communicate back and forth. Obviously, the parents don't believe him. Now, speaking of the parents, there is instantly something wrong with the mother.
Instantly something wrong with both of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah,
like creepily. I mean, the back garden is just pumpkins.
The back garden's weird. Patch. The set alone, the house is deceivingly bigger inside than it is outside. I think that's intentional. But it's huge inside. Yeah. But the back gardens, it
is. The back garden is just the pumpkin patch. It looks like Tim Burton. It looks like something from a Tim Burton film. Like a live action, what's the Charlie Brown pumpkin adventure type thing. It is literally just a huge suburban garden that they've just converted into a pumpkin patch. And it's implied that that's essentially all they eat. Because she makes pumpkin cakes and pumpkin soup, and this family just eat pumpkins.
They love it. Can't get enough of it.
And it is very heavy on the Halloween because it's set around Halloween time. But we also find out that there's a tragedy in the family associated with Halloween.
We do.
So they absolutely hate it to the point where they're switching off the lights and hiding from the trick-or-treaters. And it's like, why are you growing nothing but pumpkins if you hate Halloween so much? It's entirely bonkers, but I think it does a really good job of keeping you guessing, doesn't it? That's
completely from the beginning. There's something in the walls. Is it demonic? Is it paranormal? Is it someone real that they've trapped in? But it does keep you guessing through. Okay, are the parents to do with this? Then they expose what's behind the fridge because he's naughty. They've got their secret cellar down there, where he then discovers the sort of grate on the floor with a hole down beneath, where there's I think he sees the bear down there. There's a teddy bear, which we then find out.
that has teeth.
Yeah,
that's one of those Fuggler dolls that has real dentures.
Those fish with real teeth.
It's really creepy in the dark.
We get over the process of the film. We start to learn that they're a big recluse of a family. They don't really. They keep themselves to themselves.
Yeah.
She doesn't even really like when his new teacher at school, who's a very good teacher, very like wants to look after her students. She gets more involved in his home life and his care. She doesn't even like the teacher coming by. Really, they're very
that's it. It's heavily implied, isn't it, that potentially it might transpire that this is just like a child abuse story.
Yeah. Well, it kind of is.
Yeah, and it kind of is. Oh, yeah. But in a more traditional sense, I guess, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah.
But yeah, she comes back to check on Peter because of some drawings that he's made, and essentially the mother is like, you're accusing me of hurting my child or whatever. But yeah, they do nothing to sort of sway her concern, really, by being
not at all.
the creepiest.
Her concerns probably are even more valid the more it goes on.
And actually, just on the subject, is the father is Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander in The Boys. So we know full well that he's good at creepy and menacing and threatening. Like, he can do that very well, and he does that very well in here, even without laser vision.
Well, the part they do it the best, the parents, is our young boy's nightmare, where he wakes up and the dad's in the corner blinking ferociously while smiling, but his blinking is so loud. And then we see the mother down the hallway do some sort of crazy walk, and it's a classic jump scare. The lights go out and she jumps out. But the thing with this jump scare, which I noted, which I really liked, is that it pauses for about 1 or 2 seconds, and then
you hear some more. It's like she runs down the corridor, and then just at the point she's at the threshold of the door, all the lights go off, but she doesn't come through. But you hear another few seconds of like
keeps you waiting.
Footsteps. Yeah. And then
really like that. There's a great shot as well where, because their main entrance hall into this house, like I said, the house inside is bigger inside than it is outside. There is a light shining from the kitchen where you've got the shadows of the parents on the stairs, and he is in between them looking at them while they're discussing what to do with them. Great shot. And the whole premise about it potentially basically being about child abuse, we come to find out the person in the wall is their firstborn, who was born kind of mutilated like a monster that they basically banished to the basement, into this pit in the basement, who grew up to learn how to climb walls, learn how to basically be a spider in a way.
It's kind of sort of. I was expecting there to be multiple limbs, but there isn't. But yeah, she sort of climbs like a spider.
Bend her bones, bend her limbs.
Has a long, very incredibly, obviously uncut hair, and and is essentially she wants.
She's very bitter.
Out.
She's very bitter because
understandably,
she wants what. I need to get his name. What is our young kid? I want to say
Peter.
Danny. It's always Danny.
It's Peter.
But it's always Danny. It's
not always Peter.
Little Johnny, little Timmy, Peter.
Definitely
she wants what
Peter.
Peter's got, and there's a key. Is it the mum wears the key around her neck, which opens the door? This kind of reminded me, because they go into this secret door. This kind of reminded me of the Treehouse of Horror, where Bart's evil twin lives in the. And Homer has to go feed him fish heads.
Bucket of fish heads.
She's going to go feed him fish heads. Young girl spider escapes, and horror then ensues. I was disappointed when we saw an up close.
That was
goofy.
They do a very good job of just hinting, like you just see a limb and like a little bit of hair sort of dragging like past the door frame, and a lot of like skittering around in the background.
Yeah,
and it's a little bit of a letdown when you get the reveal.
We don't need to see it, and this is around the time the reveal is around the time where our young psychopathic kids are intruding in the house. The parents are already dead. The parents have been killed by the daughter. No, he killed her.
No.
Sorry, he killed. He poisoned. We get a foreshadowing at the beginning of rat poison, and he, God bless him, he does it. He does the justice. But there's another great scene where the kids are in the house, and we see in the background silently the young girl crawling across. But it's just a shadow, and that's great. If you saw the whole, if it was a big light shine on it, it wouldn't be as impactful. But if you see a shadow crawling across, a bit like Hereditary, when you see Tony Collette sort of at the end in the top of the roof. But yeah, all in all, solid film. I loved it.
Yeah, I did massively.
I think it's fantastic. It didn't do as well. I think it made 8 million at the box office, but some of the best horror films are sleeper hits.
Yeah, everybody should check it out. I was, we picked it as a bit like literally it was this past week. I've been like, need to watch some 2023 films for the list. Going through and was going, did this one? And me and my girlfriend were looking for something. So, yeah, that sounds all right.
Yeah,
and it was. Didn't look at any reviews. Only sort of half read the description. I was like, yeah, okay, we'll give this a go. And they're quite honestly blown away. I thought it was great. Really did. Yeah, so my number 3 is Cobweb. Because I liked
What's
it.
What's it about, Aidan? Let's talk about it again.
Yeah, I mean, not going to repeat ourselves. Loved it. Thought it was great.
Yeah.
Not what I expected. Takes a few twists and turns, and yeah, check it out. Well, so what's your number 3?
Well, my number 3 is Thanksgiving, which we've already talked about.
So we've already done that one as well.
Yes, we have,
so.
and our review is here. Just a quick reason why it's there is because I am a huge fan of that era of slashers. As much as I love the 80s, it's because we talked about this before. It's what you're a little bit older than me. It's what I grew up on. Love it. It's just that time period. I love it. And big Eli Roth fan, and I feel like he really delivered. And not to mention Grindhouse. I fucking love Grindhouse. So to get a real version of that, I was picking shit. Just give us Don't now, and I'll be so happy. So yeah, Thanksgiving was. It was actually, I was pleasantly surprised as well. I kind of went in with like, it's an Eli Roth film. It's gonna be like Hostel. The dialogue's gonna be pretty trash. The characters gonna be awful. Pleasantly surprised all round, and we're getting a sequel. It doesn't need a sequel, but I will give him a chance. I'll give it a chance. But
he gives me the same thing again.
You've got to be creative with the sequel. Got to be creative. So. Yeah, so we've talked about it. Reviews there. Go check it out. Thanksgiving number 3 for me. Now, our number 2 and number 1 are going to be the same. Easy.
Okay.
So our number 2s.
What's my number 2?
Our number 2 is Evil Dead Rise.
It is Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, obviously. We've talked at length about Evil Dead Rise again. Yes. Not a bad film in that franchise. Not a single bad film.
No. So it's a single mother, her 2 kids, and her sort of semi-estranged sister comes to stay. Yeah. They live in an old building. It's condemned. It's going to be knocked down. There's an earthquake, which opens up a secret room, and they find a book. One of the books.
It opens the vault because that bank. The building used to be a bank. Yeah.
And one of the kids finds a Necronomicon in there, and it's the Evil Dead. In fact, well, as a slight twist, it's a vinyl recording because he's an aspiring DJ, isn't he? But a recording of the book gets played, and all
hell breaks loose. Basically, in the sense of an Evil Dead film. Yeah, the Dead are back.
And, it's a lot of fun, gory, quotable.
Incredibly gory.
In the same vein as the 2013 reboot,
which I believe I know I did, but I preferred the 2013 reboot. I think did you feel the same, or did you prefer this?
I do just. But, I mean, the main letdowns for me on Rise are this is the first one that isn't set in a cabin in the woods, although we have a little pre-credit scene that is, which comes full circle at the end of the film. As to how that transpires, but the bulk of the story is an urban tower block. It's an urban apartment block. Yeah, and I don't think they used that enough. No. I don't think they could have and should have made that more of a feature. I think they could have done more with a slightly bigger cast, albeit just a bunch more demon fodder. and had sort of a running battle. I think the Raid meets Evil Dead, basically. Have a
kind of. Yeah.
running battle through the building. I think it was a little bit of a letdown there, but I mean that's one of my. I think that's the only real nitpick I've got with it.
Can't forget one of the best opening title crawls. Title reveals at the beginning, where it comes over the mountain with the ominous music. Just superb. And then we get a sort of new creation at the end, a new monster creation, what we've not seen before, where the three Deadites join together.
Yeah. Something. I mean, I'm a big fan of the franchise, and you're a big fan of the franchise. It's nice that they can still, at this point, expand on the lore, expand on the mythology of it, and do something different. So, I think it's sort of been accepted that there are multiple copies of the Necronomicon, and each
one
is
right there
tied to a different demon. There is one there.
One right there above your head.
One right there. Next to my bottle of skooma. It's good that it's good. It's just good. It's more of what I want.
It is.
And enjoyed it immensely. Yeah.
And I think we should be thankful that it didn't get taken in another way. Where if you think this could have been taken in another way, where I know Beth is our lead girl. The sister, I can't remember what the sister's name was, but how they all become possessed in the end. This could have been taken another way, where she saves them and they all become not possessed and back to normality. Yeah. No, they get put in the wood chipper. They're gone. Yeah. They're gone. There's no one left apart from...
It was a bold move with kids
being
victims and getting killed off because of it. I did think going into it that it was like, they're probably all going to be fine because they're not going to kill off the children. They absolutely do. They
kill off the teens. They didn't kill off the children. The child. Yeah.
But even so, I thought I expected that to be a little bit more sanitized than it was, and it's the better for it.
Yeah, so I think that's more than fair. Number 2, incredible film. Go check it out. Go check our review out. Our number 1 is without doubt another sleeper hit of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like people are catching on with this now,
yes.
And it's coming up quite a lot.
This is how you do an exorcism film. Or let's make it even more simplified. This is how you do a possessed film, I would say.
Possession film.
When Evil Lurks is easily our number 1 film of 2023 of horror related.
Yes.
It's incredible. It's so good.
I think it's the only real. It is incredible. Shocking.
Very
definitely
shocking.
Pushes boundaries. It builds.
It builds
an interesting world. There's a lot going for this movie.
But the thing with the world building, when we say that people are possessed in this film, they're just being given a name helps with the world building. Okay, so if you're possessed in this film, you're called the Rotten. Okay, exorcists are not called exorcist film; they're called cleaners. So you're really building this world where possessions are a common thing, apparently. They're a thing. It's like, it's not one little girl over here. No, this happens. No, Evil is around.
Yeah, it's certainly nationwide. I mean, it's an Argentinian film.
Yes.
It's set in Argentina. And it's implied that it's at least nationwide, if not global. But like you might have a problem with mice in your house and need to call out a pest controller, unfortunately, somebody in your family may become possessed, become one of the rotten, and you have to get the cleaners out to deal with them. And it's again, we're sort of told that, like, if this happens, that's it. There's no real exorcism.
No, you're not getting the demon out.
It's like you need to be sort of contained and disposed of properly. Or we're talking apocalypse, or it's catastrophic world ending. Mm-hmm. It's like if you did have a mouse in your house, but catching it in a trap would result in a nuclear explosion going off. It's basically set up like we need to get rid of this like now, soon, and properly, because if the demon, it's almost like having a demon inside you is like a gestation period, and eventually it'll hatch. I think is kind
well,
of.
yeah, that is kind of like because the demon wants to give birth. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. It wants to give birth to basically the devil in the
it's
real.
Like the Antichrist, isn't it? Yeah.
It wants to give birth to Damien in the real world to, I guess, carry on its evil. This film goes from the beginning. This film has a setup, but within the setup, we're off to the races with our two brothers. By the way, I want to say this is a film we will do a full episode on.
Yeah,
I would happily watch this again and go into detail more with this film. But two brothers, they're the neighbours. I wrote it down. Pedro and Jaime are the two brothers, and they're likable. They're really likable protagonists in this. Like, you're really rooting for them throughout the film, and especially towards the end. And right from the get-go, they're trying to stop an evil. There's a word. Is it word of mouth? There's a guy someone around in the village has been possessed. He's a rotten. And when they end up there, they discover him. He's gross. He's very gross looking. And on their way, they discover a body, and they end up finding that it's one of the cleaners. The cleaner was on their way to try and dispose of this rotten. And this is so early on in the film. This just happens. Like this is happening already.
Yeah, and it's like the local village governor or something doesn't want to pay for it, so they essentially do a bodge job.
Yep.
And yeah, it's like
is the person who says that, is he the farmer as well? Which just after this we
was
find
a little bit unclear
as
to just who was who. I almost thought there was some sort of like crime element to it, like I couldn't quite work out whether he was like almost like a local cartel leader or something. I couldn't really work out what was going on. But essentially, it's like, you need to get rid of this now and like make it somebody else's problem.
It feels fast, but not too fast paced. It feels like we're going. It does dwindle a bit in the middle.
It does. I did feel that, but then it comes back quite strong. And has easily one of the most shocking scenes. We've got to talk about that scene.
The dog?
It's easily,
The dog. The dog.
It's easily one of the most shocking horror scenes I've seen in a horror film for a long time.
How long did it take you to go,
that
dog's not right. That dog's not right.
I had a gut feeling that it was going to happen, and I was just essentially waiting for it to happen.
So the evil does lurk, but the way we're talking about this dog, it's either Pedro or Jaime. One of them is going to his ex-wife's house, where the ex-wife is living with a new partner, their kids, and one of their actual kids who is heavily autistic, who he's basically going there to try and save. That he wants to go get his kid back. When he arrives there, after they've been to that first house with one of the rotten, and they've dealt with that, his clothes are a little bit covered in the blood of the original rotten. Dog licks. Lick the dog, stroke the dog. There we go. The evil has spread. That is how quickly it is. The evil is in the dog, and you're looking at it. That dog ain't right. It's
front and center in the frame. So the in the foreground you have this dog, and it's like a Rottweiler. Is it? It's a big dog.
Yeah, it is a big dog. It's a very big dog.
It's not the sort of black and tan color, but it's that sort of size. It's that sort of I don't know. It's that sort of size dog. So we've got this big dog there, and then this little girl, and they're sort of front and center in the frame. And then towards the back of the shot, you can see the husband and his ex-wife sort of having an argument.
Yeah.
And, well, you're waiting for it. You know what's going to happen. Then all of a sudden, it goes bang and,
grabs her head. This girl must be, portraying-wise, 6?
At the oldest. It's a little kid. Yeah, definitely.
But it doesn't end there.
No, it doesn't end there. But this is what we're saying, like about kids kids being victims or not being victims. Like this film, it just doesn't care. It goes for it. It's like, yeah, this is happening. Bang.
But it's clever with it because it's bleak and horrible the way this dog grabs this kid's head, and like I said, it doesn't end there. The camera pans to the left where there's stairs where her little older brother is watching this happen with distraught. The camera then pans to the right or something like that, and you see the dog whacking with the child in the dog's mouth, whacking it against the table legs. Yeah. But the way they get away with it is that moments later, because the evil has now spread to the girl, she's fine. She's up. She's up. She's fine. If the girl had died, I feel like it'd be much more horrifying. I mean, it's still horrifying, but you know what I mean? They kind of get away with it. They haven't killed the kid necessarily. They've gotten away with an attack on a kid. No.
I know, but it's still pretty visceral and
it's
brutal.
It is.
Have you seen the director's previous film, Terrified?
No. Terrified.
Yeah, it's called Terrified. So,
Rugner, I believe his name, isn't it? Rugner.
I'm not sure, but it's potentially Terrified is a prequel. This.
No.
I'm not 100% sure, and if I am wrong, by all means, drop a comment and correct me. Like I'm just trying to look now, and there's a couple of articles that say it's a sequel to Terrified, but there's plenty of people that say that they're different in nature. So this is what I mean. I've not watched it myself yet, but this is what I mean about this. About the world building is potentially there is more. Not it's different people. It's a different story, but it's the same world and the same affliction. I guess you call it the same plague or whatever you want to.
Yeah, I know what you want to call it. Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I've not watched it myself yet, but I know it's the same director. Terrified was, I want to say 2015. I think it was a few years ago.
Okay, cool.
But
I'm keen for that.
If it, even if it's not a true sequel or prequel or anything like that, I definitely want to check that out as being from the same director. It's bleak.
It is bleak.
The ending is not a happy ending, and it pushes boundaries with some of the violence that we see.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's a road movie with a zombie apocalyptic, although it's not zombies, it's like demons.
Yeah.
So it's like possession.
Reminded me of Wreck, the sort of enemy you get in Wreck, where they're possessed but they're zombies but they're not, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea is, and presumably we're so many years into this being a thing that like people can be quite jaded about it, and it's not, they don't see it as like it's like a minor, an inconvenience and a problem. There's like a sort of police force set up to deal with it. So it's, and I like that. I like that with zombie movies as an example, where you get dropped into the world as it is now, dealing with this problem.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to always see the beginning and it all kicking off. Even as an opening shot, I'm quite happy to just be dropped in and it be
classic zombie. You don't need the origin.
Like a Romero film, Day of the Dead, or I'm quite happy to be dropped in with deserted streets and a couple of shambling corpses and
definitely
what are humans up to. So it felt like that. It was interesting, an interesting premise that there is this like possession epidemic almost that has scoured Argentina, if not the world. But the consequences being that sort of high stakes. This isn't just like, if you get bitten you'll die, if you get possessed you'll die. This is like,
it's for the wider.
Well, I mean, as we find out, like if one of the rotten goes unprocessed, undealt with, then the world will effectively end. Like,
it's so important.
The apocalypse will properly happen.
Yeah.
So, which is is such a mind-blowing scale for the problem. You know, this is not just a few sexy teens getting offed in the woods. This is like global, like the hell on earth. If
and we also learned you can't use guns. You can't kill them with bullets.
No, it's almost like aggression against them will make them more powerful and effectively. Like, it's. And again, they don't explain really why. So you're left to sort of go, well, why can't you use bullets? Oh, because maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And again, it's a refreshing change not to be spoon-fed every single little bit of lore and having to think about it and make educated guesses that might be right, might be wrong, but it's open to interpretation. It was
much like
good.
The dog scene. We also get another scene I wanted to mention with. Also, when you mentioned, it's a kind of a mixture between the zombie possessions sort of thing, where the mother, a lot of people that we meet in this film do get possessed. The evil spreads to them, and the mother does, that I mentioned earlier. But there's a scene where one of the brothers is trying to look for her, and her son, who then she kidnapped. While he's looking for her, he finds that she's walking along a road. You know what scene I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And she is just snacking on his brain.
Yeah.
And you're kind of left aghast as to what is happening. Just what is happening, because are they possessed? Are they possessed and then they get turned into zombies and just have they just want to eat meat? Like, what is going on?
It's unclear and vague, and the more terrifying because of it.
Yeah, because you don't know, and you see the bleakness in our main characters where they're getting more distraught and beat down emotionally. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to, and that ends. It ends not tremendously, but horrifically like that, where he's so beat down.
It just given up.
What happens. They've given up.
Just whatever.
It reminded me of last year when Barbarian was my number one film of last year, 2022, because again that kind of came out of nowhere and it felt fresh.
Yeah.
This felt fresh, but it also this felt as bleak, not maybe as bleak, but bleak like Speak No Evil. The same year, Speak No Evil was on my list as well. I think over the years I'm leaning towards more bleak films like this where there is no hope.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think there's enough of it. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think we've got so many horror films. Films generally, people like a happy ending, but horror films in particular, the killer's gonna get defeated, and all right, he might come back for half a dozen or more sequels, but ultimately, somebody's getting out of there alive. It's gonna be, good will triumph over evil ultimately.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a place for that, but I think we've seen that, this many times as opposed to the bleak endings being down here. I think there's room for a lot more. Like, I mean,
take twists and turns. Give us something different. I mean,
it is something different.
I noticed this when I went to see Godzilla -1. Right. I saw the Aquaman trailer. Okay, now I've been out of the superhero game for a long time. I finished the Endgame, but for me, the Marvel thing was all about the long story. I liked the Thanos story in the Infinity Gauntlet. I read the comics. I liked that.
Yeah.
And now I don't really care. But you look at the Aquaman trailer. I couldn't give a shit. And the trailer is, I'm back, and then the music goes deep, and we've got this villain. And I'm like, okay, but he's gonna win in the end, isn't he? The Aquaman.
Yeah.
I said, why do I care? Why do I care about this? Why do I care? I don't care. Unless it does get killed off, then okay, that's interesting, but they wouldn't do it for a franchise like that. So I don't care. And it's the same with Star Wars, where they're filling in the gaps of all these shows. There's no stakes. Why do I don't care about Obi-Wan because I know what happens to him. I don't care. He doesn't die. Nothing bad happens. I don't care. So
just have some more adventures. Yeah.
Be a bit adventurous with these stories. This does not need a sequel. This does not need a sequel. I do not want a sequel to this.
Not a direct sequel, but I'd happily take something else in the same world. I'd take another story. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to come back to these characters and see what happens.
Yes.
But it'd be I want to see more from the. So come back to it in like 30. Give me a film set 30 years after this one, to see what state the world is in with what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could elaborate on the cleaners, elaborate on what different rotten or how possession works.
Yeah, give me another. I want to see. I'm intrigued. I think they've built an interesting world. I think there's more to be explored and explained. Like I say, I don't want to be spoon fed it all in one movie, but drip feed it me out of a couple more movies, a couple more stories. You know. See what happens. I don't want to see the same characters again, but I'd happily see something else in this world with this premise.
This has a 97% tomato score and an 81% audience score. Now, I don't want to say that says it all because Rotten Tomatoes isn't the be-all, end-all, but that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And IMDb, we're looking at a 7 out of 10. Yeah. I could not recommend this film anymore. Yeah. And it's hard to do that with a lot of modern horrors these days, but nothing beats this from last year in horror.
No.
Nothing.
No.
Superb. And I'm so glad I didn't know much about it. I was just... Yeah. I wanted to watch it because I was like, oh, I've heard a lot of praise about this film. Let's just give it a go. And it delivers so
definitely.
much.
I think when you said to me, is like, oh, I've just watched this, film of the year, check it out.
Yeah.
And that's as much as you said. So I went into it blind. I didn't bother reading. I was like, yeah, all right. If Tom says it's good, it's probably going to be all right. I'll stick it on. And yeah, I think afterwards I was like, oh my God.
You're still always wary though when a friend says that to you, like, oh my God, it's the best. Okay,
because I'm aware we do have different tastes.
Of course,
when it comes to stuff. But ultimately, I feel you know what you're talking about, and you know you can.
Try.
You wouldn't recommend me something that I definitely think is trash.
No.
I think you might recommend me something that I go, it's not my cup of tea, but I can see it's a decent film.
Yep.
Yeah, so, you know, I wouldn't, like, yeah, it is always a little bit, you've got to be a little bit wary when somebody recommends you a movie, but I would, yeah, you know, I'd always look into something that you recommended more. So I was like, yeah, cool, I'll check it out. And I watched it. I think it might have even been the same night or a couple of nights later.
It wasn't far off, yeah.
It wasn't far after. And I was like, I am so glad. I'm so glad I actually did watch this and pay attention. Because, like, yeah, brilliant.
So I recommended it to a friend, and same sort of thing. She would be like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe I'll watch it, maybe. She watched it, and I got WhatsApp voice messages going, the fucking dog, Tom. The dog. I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah, the dog. Yep.
I kind of feel like you should see it coming. I mean, I really do feel like
you do see it coming, but you don't see that. You don't. You wouldn't believe that's coming.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, definitely check it out. Film of 2023.
Number one.
Dreadcast recommend. Dreadcast approved.
Yep.
2023.
Film of 2023, When Evil Lurks. So there we go. There we go, folks.
There we go.
That's a long one. But
that was fun.
It was good fun because I'm really glad we had different opinions on.
I figured we would. I think. I mean, apart from the top 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I thought we'd be quite different for the bulk of the list than we were, and I would deliberately watch some different films than some of the ones that I knew you'd seen as well to push that.
Well, I mean, out of the new ones, out of the top, let's say 3 or 4. I know Thanksgiving wasn't in your top 4, but let's say When Evil Lurks and Cobweb, 2 fresh ideas.
Yeah.
And couldn't recommend them more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Very good.
Hey, hell of a year. It was a good year for horror. Same was 2022. Hopefully, I don't think anything is out right now horror-wise, but obviously, Terrifier 3. Terrifier a big one to look into this year. Another VHS. Oh God, what else is coming out this year?
I'm just having a quick look, and for some reason it's mainly thrown video games at me. Don't know why.
Maxine. We got Maxine. We got Nosferatu. Looking forward to that new Robert Eggers film. Winnie the Pooh 2.
That's got to be fairly soon, hasn't it? Oh, there's the Nosferatu. I feel like we've seen a.
Nosferatu's December.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen a lot of that just at the minute. Alien Romulus.
Oh god, there's also the First Omen, the Omen
There's
prequel.
also the First Omen. I was just going to mention that as
no.
well. I think there's a Strangers prequel there as well.
Yeah. Oh, there's a new Strangers trilogy coming out.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah.
We're getting this year.
Nothing really mega standing out.
I mean, there's, again,
Another Quiet Place.
arguably not really horror, but Blade.
Well, that's not even. That's in hell. That's in production hell.
I think for some, I've definitely searched for horror movies, and it's literally just showing me everything. But
oh well, that gives us more absolute bollocks to watch from our coffin.
it does indeed. What's this? George A. Romero's Resident Evil.
Is that the documentary? Because he was always going to make a Resident Evil film.
A documentary that brings to light
yeah.
that George Romero had for an adaptation
I
of
thought so.
Resident Evil. Oh, okay. Didn't know about that. That's interesting. The Jack in the Box Rises. That looks like some sort of... That looks like an Amazon.
Yeah, of course it is.
Bottom of the barrel scraper. Handling the Undead, whatever that is. Yeah, okay. We'll
nothing
see.
as of now. So we've got plenty of time to catch up on some old ones and some B movies and some good stuff. So that is our list of 2023. We finally did it. We're out there now. We're back to normal scheduling programming next week with Le Advent Calendar.
Advent. Oh yes, our pre-Christmas one, which I'm still
post-Christmas,
post-Christmas, pre-Christmas.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
It'll be good.
That's it. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, all that jazz.
It's still too late to say that. I don't know.
No, we'll see you in the next year, New Year. I hate people do that. Yeah, you can. Where can you send an email if you'd like to say? If you've made it this far and you're still listening, where can you send an email?
I mean, yeah, if you've made it this far and you are still listening, you should absolutely, definitely send us an email.
What was your favourite film of last year?
You can send an email to thedreadcastpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right, and you can find this podcast and all other content on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Podbean, YouTube, Amazon, all by searching the Dreadcast, and the social medias at _Dreadcast on the Instagram, the Twitter, and the TikTok. Let's get the hell out of here.
Let's get the hell out of here.
So, until next time, folks, go watch When Evil Lurks. There we go.
Yeah.
That's the way to end this.
Bye.
Bye.